All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Got a couple things planned for today. Just want to give you guys a quick update on what's been going on because it's been a while since I've made a video. I know that I post videos pretty much weekly, but a lot of videos were filmed back to back to back and then just loaded weekly. So I actually haven't done any type of filming in the last few weeks, so it feels weird to be doing this again. But I've been making slow progress, just none of it's been really worth putting on camera, like adjusting the tune. And then I did run into two problems. One, my transmission wasn't working properly. Overdrive didn't work, trans brake didn't work. Ended up opening it back up, looking at the wiring, doing some research, realized I had the overdrive and the trans brake solenoids wired backwards. So I never did try the trans brake button, but if I would have hit the trans brake button in third gear, overdrive would have turned on. And if I would have flipped overdrive on while in first gear, trans brake would have activated. But that's obviously not how I wanted it wired. So I switched the wires around, taking it for a drive. Everything works fantastic. So we got that problem taken care of, except I made the mistake of way overfilling the transmission. And now it's slowly seeping out. So at this point in time, I'm just letting it drip. It's kind of making a mess, but I've got too many other things to worry about that don't involve draining a little bit of fluid out of the transmission. Since I'm not driving it, it's not going to hurt anything. I'm not going to worry about it right now. So that's one of the issues. Next issue is with my my turbo draining system. Every time I've driven it, I've always noticed a couple little drops of oil right underneath the wastegate, which you can see just like that drop right there. And for anybody who knows about turbo stuff, no oil passes through the wastegate. So I'm like, why is there oil dripping out of my wastegate? Well, it took forever hunting it down, and it wasn't actually dripping out of the wastegate, as I knew that was going to be the case. It was coming from the turbo. I've cleaned it up pretty good, but basically it was seeping through one of these bolts, not this one, but the one right next to it, every time I ran it, and then it would settle down here and then drip down onto the wastegate and then onto the ground. The realization I made is that the oil drain line is not steep enough. You have to have roughly a 45-degree angle as the oil travels down from the turbo back to the oil pan. In my case, because the turbos are so far forward and so low that the oil drain line is almost a straight shot. It's almost completely horizontal. It travels about 18 inches, but only drops 2 to 3 inches. So that's obviously nowhere near a 45-degree angle. So what was happening is oil's not getting out of the turbo fast enough, so it's being forced out through the seals. So that's one of the projects I'm going to have to take care of. That's not today's project because the parts are in order. But I've begun dismantling the oil system and getting ready for next week when I start working on that. The other issue I'm having is that because of the large drag brakes, it pushes the tire out too far. I have a picture of it. I'll post it in the next video because that'll actually be part of next week's project as well. I bought new lower control arms that will tuck the tire back in 1 inch, which is pretty much exactly, the fender lines up pretty much dead on perfect with the bulge in the tire. The tread is inside the fender, but this rounded bulge from the sidewall is sticking out completely. The fender pretty much lines up right here. So it bothers me. It's not too bad. The other side actually sticks out about 1/4 of an inch further, which that is driving me crazy because a little bit of the tread is exposed if you look straight down the fender, and that is driving my OCD nuts. So it stops me from lowering the car down as far as I want because I'm afraid that if I hit a big bump or if somehow this car does do wheelies and it comes down, I'm going to have my tires go right into my fiberglass front end, and that's destroyed. I can't afford a new one of those. Plus, I don't want to have to bother fixing it. So it was much easier just to order shorter control arms that will tuck the tire back in. Those are on order. They'll come next Wednesday, so more than likely that'll be the project for next week, and I'll start on the oiling system since the oil pump that I ordered, which is probably going to get mounted up front here, I don't believe is, according to tracking number, it's coming on Friday. I've had stuff come early, but it's rare. So essentially on that, I'm gonna have an oil pump sit right here. Both turbos will feed into it, and then it will pump oil back into the oil pan. I could go up in the valve covers, but there's no reason since the oil pan is already tapped. So I'll just squirt the oil straight into the oil pan where the turbos are currently draining now. It doesn't work now because gravity is what I'm relying on. Once the oil pump is in place, the oil pump will do all the work. It's very common to run an oil pump to get your oil back into the pan if you have low mount turbos. Now granted, if I knew I was gonna run an oil pump from day one, these turbos wouldn't be here, they'd be down here, much lower. But it is what it is. I can't change it now. I mean, I can, but I'm not going to. I also have another truck. Well, I don't have it anymore, but my last truck was an 07 F-150 with a 70 millimeter mounted in the rear, basically where the muffler is supposed to go. And I bought the same oil pump that I used on that truck, because obviously when the turbo's in the back, you can't just rely on gravity to get the oil back up, because the turbo is actually lower than the engine. So that worked great. That pump ran on my daily driver truck for years, never had a problem with it. So on a car that's only going to see 200 or 300 miles a year, maybe, it probably will last forever. But anyways, today's project, since it's the only thing I have parts for, is finally taking care of this. I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't really tell. But basically, these are worn out. And that's why if I just gently shut the door, it doesn't shut all the way. And then to open it, I have to basically manhandle it up, essentially lifting the door up to get it to release. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out the Dremel, start cutting stuff, and then we'll try to figure out how to support the door. I have some jack stands. The door is gonna be heavy as hell, but I don't have to move it very far in order to put the new parts in. So let's get started on that, and hopefully we'll get that done in a timely manner. Okay, about halfway through getting the pins out, I realized the video coverage I was getting was bad because of how bright it was, or bright it is outside my garage and how much darker it is inside. So none of that video is worth a damn. So I kind of have some of it missing. Anyways, essentially what I did, and I'll explain it to you so you can get an idea for it. Here's the upper pin, and this did have a like a rivet style head, and this was on top like this. What I did is I took the pneumatic Dremel, and I'm sure there's other tools you can use to make it happen, but basically ground off the top so that it would sit flush, and then I used this long piece of just metal rod. Get these from Home Depot for a couple of dollars, and to punch it out. And just held it in place, hit it with the top of a hammer, and it drove out the first pin. Then I came down here to the second one. Because the body does bend a little bit there at the bottom, the pin wouldn't come straight out. So I used the Dremel with the little cutoff bit, which you can see it took a few tries, so I broke a bunch of them. But I made a couple of cuts in it so that the bit could bend, or the pin could bend when it got to the bottom. And you know, as you can see, it's bending as it's hitting the door down there. So a couple more bangs with the hammer and it'll come right out, and after that I can start putting the new stuff in. There you go, that's out. Oop. Yeah, the door is definitely free, so almost there. I think one more hit with the hammer should knock out the last little bit. I'll just stick that right there. Gonna have to go through all the door hinges. And there we go. Both pins are out, clearly. I'm gonna go get the new kit and I'll show you that, and then we'll put it in. Alright, this is the kit that I bought, about $9. Comes with 4 new brass bushings. It comes with the 2 new door pins and then cotter pins to install them. So already right off the bat, I looked, because these have to be removed. This one you can already see is loose as hell in there. And let's see. The top one on the bottom is loose, and this one's loose. So that would explain, the only one that's in here tight, well actually it's not even that tight. I can wiggle this one as well. So this is the best of the 4, but you know, the tops of these 2 are going to be the worst, and then this one's in bad shape. So it doesn't surprise me the door has trouble opening and closing. So I'm going to go ahead and knock these out. Let's see if I can set up the camera here. Get the top ones first, and at this point I'm just going to use whatever I have laying around. Here's the old pin. Well, that didn't work as well as I'd hoped. Okay, random tool number 2. Huh, I might have to grind that down a little bit too, because it does not want to come out. It's pretty distorted. So let me go get the Dremel set up and then I'll go from there. Okay, this method worked off camera just a minute ago for the upper hinge. So basically all this is the original pin. I'm coming at an angle to try and knock the brass bushing out. So that worked, didn't have to get out the Dremel. And again, just coming at an angle with the original pin. Oops. And that got that one out, so didn't have to do any more dremeling. So that was nice. What's this? I don't know. So, yeah, oh yeah, these are much tighter fit. So we're just going to put it in place. And again, take advantage of the old pin. There we go, that one's in. Alright, that definitely is going in much tighter than the old ones came out, so that's a good sign. Nice and easy. This one might be difficult on the bottom here. Turn the camera down. Because I don't know if I'm going to be able to swing the hammer very well down there, but let's find out. No. Might have to lift the door back up a little bit because this one is way down there. Whew. Okay, well this one I'm going to pick the door up and put it on top of something. That way I can get a swing on the hammer. But you saw me do the other ones, so it's going to be the exact same method. Okay, I got the door back into place, and it is quite heavy. I would recommend an assistant if you can get one. I'm out here by myself, so it's a little bit more difficult, but it is what it is. So now I just got to line this back up so I can get these pins back into place. I'm hoping they tap back in pretty easy, but considering nothing on this project has been quite as easy as I had hoped, well, right off the bat, this pin doesn't fit, so I'm going to have to go from below. Oops. Yeah, lining up the door is not super easy. Where's that hammer? It's in my pocket. Oh, we're not even lined up close. All right. I know I have a screwdriver around here somewhere. At least I did. Alright, I'm going to have to move the camera because I can't do this with the camera right here in the way. Alright, with the camera out of the way, it took a whole 2 seconds to pull the pin into place and tap it with the hammer. Now it's completely lined up, it just needs a cotter pin. But first I'm going to get that bottom one installed, and I'll do it the opposite of this one, where obviously I won't be able to come from below, so it'll go from above going downward. Okay, cotter pins are completely installed, both top and bottom. Now this is the real test. Does the door open and close better than before? So let's give it a try. Well, it definitely feels like it shut better. I mean, it's always going to sound like a tin can, so if you guys were hoping it'd be dead silent, that's not the case. Let's see. Oh, wow. That was the real test. You could always just slam it to get it shut, but now opening it, remember, if you recall, I've complained about it in my other videos, you'd have to lift the entire door up, like physically. I know I had a couple days ago when I was working underneath the car, and I asked my wife to open the door and get inside, and I had to end up crawling out from underneath and opening door for her because she couldn't physically lift the door. These doors are actually very heavy. If you've never taken the doors off Fox Body, they're very heavy. But we'll do that again. Nice, easy, one hand, no effort. Look at that. I notice it still drops a little bit, which tells me there's probably an issue with the latch or the striker or something like that. But the fact that one hand, no effort, yeah, that's definitely a success. That was the best $9 I've spent on this car so far. So at some point in time, the other door will get changed. It's not a priority because I don't drive on that side. I drive on this side. This is America. So the driver's door was my concern. Here's a good shot. You can see the pin. I did probably the worst job installing a cotter pin in the history of mankind, but it's in. And actually now, sorry, the camera's going angled because the tripod leg's real long. This one I might redo because that one's pretty ugly. But anyways, those pins are pressed in pretty good. They're not going to fall out or vibrate out or anything like that. So that's one problem taken care of. Still have some other minor things to do. I won't film it, but this trim panel, you can see it just needs to be reattached. I can get some glue, something like that, line it up, no big deal. And then I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there's suspension and oil pump install that's going to be coming real soon. So I'm kind of bummed. I really wanted to go to a car show tomorrow night. I haven't gone to, they do it weekly. I haven't been to it in a very long time because it's, you know, we're now in October. I wrecked my last car in early part of May, I think it was, middle of May, something like that. So it's been quite some time. Obviously, I don't go just to walk around. If I'm going to go, I want to enjoy other people's cars while taking my car at the same time. So I've missed quite a few of them, and I'm looking forward to getting back there. But it seems like every week I plan to go. Either something comes up, you know, my wife makes plans, or the car's not working properly and I don't feel confident driving down there. But this is just one more step. This week I'm not going to make it. My goal is next week I will get down there. Maybe I'll take some video while I'm down there. Maybe I'll take some video while I'm driving there. I don't know. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. But I'm looking forward to next week because I'm looking forward to being able to drive the car again. And I do enjoy fabrication. I actually just got a job doing fabrication. I start in about a week and a half, so I'm looking forward to that. And anyways, a lot of big things going on right now in the next week and a half. It should be fun. So, oh, I got my assistant, Sisty, since the kids are in the house. What are you doing? You know you're not supposed to be out here. Anyways, I don't think, the one thing I want to mention real quick is I don't think the camera picked up the fact that I was using the jack with a pad on top of it to lift the door up because it was sagging. I found that when I lifted the door up a fraction of an inch while I was trying to knock out the old pins. It made a huge difference. I went from pounding on it real hard and making no progress whatsoever. Then I put the jack underneath it, and then I could just barely lightly tap it and the pin would just come straight out. So definitely want to make sure you have a jack on hand if you're going to try doing this. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Unfortunately, it wasn't any type of performance stuff. It was just kind of routine maintenance stuff. But next week we'll get back to doing some performance stuff. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.